Gotta do it for yourself and kicking bars since you were young. Lions on your kit, but you've been playing since a cub. When you're stepping on the pitch, you know you gotta...
Germany hang on. A very, very late goal from Füllkrug to give them a very much needed point going into the final game of the group stages. It's another one, though. Another group, which is quite literally, we're quite literally 3 to 4 of the teams from it can all qualify. There's multiple connotations, multiple results that will change the complexities. It does mean the final group games of pretty much every group so far are going to be very, very exciting indeed. In this match, though, Spain, listen, they were the better team. They were the better team, in my opinion, for large parts. But as we've seen so often in this competition, 0-0 in the first half. A team takes the lead, and then the team that goes behind wakes up, and the team leading kind of sits back. I never really understood the approach. There's a lot of conservative football taking place at this World Cup so far, and my hope is that this changes in the next round of games. So game 3 within the group stages, because we need a little bit more jeopardy. We need teams to open up more and try to win. I almost felt like in large parts of this game, they were quite happy to take a draw. If they nicked it, brilliant. And I thought Spain dominated the midfield. They do lack a killer up front. They're one of the favorites for the tournament for me, Spain. But where I put France and Brazil ahead of them is that killer up front. Morata comes on and scores. I think maybe he's got to start, maybe not the next game because they only need to get a draw to go through. But I think knockout rounds, they're going to need Morata. You know, I think he's at number 5, number 6 in the all-time leading goal scorers for Spain. I think Luis Enrique needs to play him. Midfield is perfection. Pedri, Gavi, sensational again with Busquets in the middle. Defensively okay as well, but the control on the ball that Spain have is majestic. Yeah, I feel something when I watch Spain play, and been brilliant. From a Germany point of view, I thought it was another average performance. They get the point, which they'll take and be happy with. Beat Costa Rica, hope that Japan don't beat Spain, and they'll go through. And it's almost that Costa Rica result today. It's actually more important to them than this one we've just seen, because it's that Costa Rica win that's kept them alive for all intents and purposes. That Costa Rica win really damaged tonight's game because Germany didn't have to go all out attack. Having said all of that, though, right at the death, Leroy Sané goes through on goal, and you think they're going to win it, the Germans. They're going to win it. Then they potentially have the opportunity to beat Costa Rica and win the group. Sané can't quite do it. Good goalkeeping, forces him out wide, and they don't end the game. But I'm not convinced by the Germans in any way or in any shape or in any form. Just not convinced at all that they are of the standard needed to progress deep into the World Cup. I think they've got absolutely no chance of winning it. A French team, a Brazilian team beats them. I think England would beat this German team playing how they are right now. And I even think other teams out there, we saw Croatia today and how deadly they could be. This German team is, they're missing something. They're missing what's the German word for like je ne sais quoi? There's something missing from them. There's an ingredient missing. And you bake a cake or some bread and use the wrong flour and it's flat. Like there's an ingredient missing from this Germany team. And I personally can't quite put my finger on it, because when you go through the team and you start reading the names off, you go to the starting lineup and you've got Gnabry and Gundogan, Muller. You've got Rudiger. You've got Kimmich, Goretzka, Musiala. You bring in the likes of Sané on. They should be playing better football than they are. It isn't quite happening. It isn't quite happening. You see individual moments of brilliance at times, but they're just not a team. Maybe that's what it is. They're just not a team as we know them. The quality of this World Cup must be the lowest I've witnessed. 2010 and 2014 were much better. Quality of players is lower as well compared to 2010 and 14. I was thinking about this when watching it. It's a great point you raised, and I'd love the viewers to tell us what you think. Why do you think the quality is lower this time than I actually think the last 2 or 3 World Cups. I do have a theory on it, though, and I was thinking about it a lot today, and I think it's because partly you can say certain squads haven't been developed, but there's a lot of lacking of, um there's a lack of number 9s in many of these teams. I think that's first and foremost. What you also have an issue with is systems. Everything is system, 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 system. And I feel there's very little room in so many of these teams for individual expression. Now, you can't have everybody individually expressing themselves at every minute of the game. You'd fall apart and probably lose. But you look at France, who I think have been the best team so far. We haven't seen Brazil play a second game yet. But they have Mbappe that's kind of a bit of a free spirit, can wander, can run attack. He kind of plays outside the standard system. Brazil, of course, Neymar's now injured. Let's see who comes in, but they have some flair players that are allowed to express themselves. Everybody else, and I'm talking the major nations here, don't really have that. It's why I've enjoyed watching Saudi Arabia. There's an element of, dare I say it, freestyle football about what they're doing. There's a lot of criticism a few years ago of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, freestyle football, no system. We want a regimented system with identifiable patterns. I think you need an element of that, but you also need an element in tournament football where you allow people to just express themselves and showcase their talent. I think it's a combination of that. Plus, there's a lack of number 9s. There's a lack of out and out number 9s or killers up front. They don't have to be a 9. They could be an inside forward. A lot of there's no one being prolific out here. No one's being prolific. Normally, by 2 games into a World Cup, and by tomorrow we complete round 2, there's a handful of players you're looking at going, player of the tournament there. We've had it from Mbappe as an example. Richarlison showed up game week 1. We kind of got it from Bukayo Saka in the first game. We didn't in the second. But I want to see some of these players express themselves more. I want to see teams be braver. And that's the issue. No one's being brave. This is the most pragmatic, conservative World Cup I've ever witnessed. Everybody's scared to lose. But what it's done, and now this could be the caveat, what it's done, if you actually go through it, and I was looking at the group stages earlier today. Let me just go back to this now, right? I want to go to group stages here. So, Group A, Qatar are out, but Netherlands, Ecuador, Senegal are all on 3 and 4 points each. So, they can all still qualify. In England's group, everybody can qualify on the final day. In Group C, with Argentina and Poland, everybody can qualify on the final day. If you go to Group D, France are through, but any one of Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia can still qualify. This group we're watching now, Spain and Japan are 1 and 2, but every team can still qualify, and every team can go out still. As an example, there's only France, and I think France only, and probably the Netherlands. Oh, no, because that group's got 3 in it. So Netherlands or Ecuador will definitely go through. One of them could drop out. But it's only France so far, I think, that have fully 100% qualified. In most of the groups, every team in it can still go out. So the point I'm making is, just reading that now while I'm live, is, and let's see what happens tomorrow. Portugal might win. They'll go through. But if we're in, same as Brazil, but if we're in a situation where like 3 to 4 teams could all qualify and all go out, the final game should be exciting, now biting, because teams have got to go for the win. And it's almost as if they've saved themselves, and maybe it was by design, maybe it's been by accident, but it's like they've saved themselves for this very moment. So I do get your point. It hasn't been the most entertaining World Cup so far, but my hope is that it improves soon. A lot of pragmatism out there. Spain are mid, made Germany look threatening. Yeah, look, I thought Spain played really well. I thought they played really well personally. The lack of killer up front is the issue they've got. But they did also make the same mistake after scoring that I've seen many teams make. They score, and then they allow their opponents back into it. And even France did that yesterday. It shows me one or two things. People aren't keeping their foot on the pedal when scoring. And secondly, opponents are going for it more when they're losing. We're not seeing that effort to win before they're losing, which is strange at a World Cup, especially the group stages where there's a little bit less jeopardy. You've got another game to save yourself. It's been very weird this year. 3 goals Germany messed up because of bad decisions. Yeah, like, I mean, there was, the offside from Rudiger's goal as an example. Musiala could have scored. Uh, Leroy Sane probably should have scored at the end as well. So they had their chances, but those mistakes are why I don't see Germany winning this. I can call them mistakes, but I think that's inexperience, lack of quality, and players that aren't prolific goal scorers getting those chances. And no excuse. Players are fresh, and it's been pragmatic and no flair with associated with the World Cup. Do you know what's funny? A lot of people spoke about how players in the last week or so of the Premier League are like pulling up because they don't want to hurt themselves. The same could work in the opposite way. Maybe there are some players that are like, it's gonna be really tough when I get back. Festive season, Champions League starting. Don't want to burn myself out of the World Cup and then be exhausted for my club team. Yeah, if the logic before the World Cup existed, the logic for after it comes in as well. There's a load of, I think there's a load of factors that are playing into this. But yeah, you're definitely right. The flair has been missing, which has been a shame. My word, Musiala, wow, hasn't played much football, but the guy is an elite dribbler, super explosive. In a year, he might be better than Foden, one to watch. Very talented indeed, very talented, and probably Germany's only real. Of course, Fulkrug will, take the plaudits for scoring, but Musiala has been the only player in the whole German setup who, he's a baller, as people would call him in the modern day world. He's got a great touch. He can go in, he can go out, he can dribble, he can pass. And he's so, I mean, you say so young. I've never actually checked his age. I want to, what's he, 19? Maybe younger? Yeah, 19. Great guess. 19 years of age, superb talent, beautiful football player to watch. And it was brilliant tonight to watch him, Gavi, Pedri, the next generation of stars. I mean, this isn't their World Cups. Spain could win it, but their World Cups will come, in the next one when they're all in that early mid-20s. That's when I think you'll see like all three of them at their optimum best. By the way, I know they play for different countries, but yeah, it was a pleasure watching them tonight. That was one bit that was entertaining, but they need more around them. It's a team sport, as we all know. That Musiala kid, sorry, I keep saying Musala. I don't know why. It's in my head. I said it wrong once and I can't get it out. Musiala kid is a baller. He absolutely is. No wonder England was. I mean, we said England were desperate to get him, but we just probably keep him on the bench like we do Foden, to be fair. So I'm kind of glad that he's gone to play for Germany. At least he gets to. At least he gets to kick a ball. I'm going to bring Ram on with me in a few moments to have his say on the show. Viewers, make sure you're smashing like buttons for us. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Very important that you get that done. Ram's here now. Talk to me, Ram. What do you make of that?
I need to make an apology to Nicholas Fulkrug. I didn't think he was at that level. I think Germany, in overall, in terms of their striking position, just lack tremendously. You look at the great Germany teams of the past, like obviously Miroslav Klose, the World Cup's leading goal scorer in World Cup finals, Rudi Völler, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who else? Gerd Muller as well, like elite strikers, and they bring on Nicholas Fulkrug. Granted, he took a goal very well, but they don't have a striker like that. And you talk about Germany teams and how they play. You need a striker, especially with Hansi Flick, who had Lewandowski. You need a prominent striker like that. And using someone like Fulkrug and even Kai Havertz. And honestly, to me, I don't see how Kai Havertz get into the Germany team. I really don't. Jamal Musiala he's an incredible talent. His dribbling on the ball, his decision making at times, and his just overall technique is just out of this world. Like he like if you're talking about the players of the next generation, your Pedri's, Gavi's, Bellingham, Musiala is definitely right up there with the top of the cream of the crop. He is an incredible player. And look, I don't see Kai Havertz playing as a striker. I think he's a bit limitful as a striker. He's limited as a striker.
Yeah.
His best position is a number 10, but Musiala plays as a number 10. And Musiala is a lot more dynamic and has a lot more bite when it comes to the final third than Kai Havertz. So the main worry for Germany in terms of their future is their striker. They don't have a prominent striker, and that's what's going to cost them because everywhere else they're pretty much decent. Kimmich, Goretzka, great pivot to have. Gnabry, Sane, very good wingers to have. Even at centre back, they are limited as well. I mean, Rudiger's very good. Ter Stegen, I mean, he's a decent goalkeeper. Well, not decent. He's a really good goalkeeper when he's on it. But that's the main thing. Their striker. If they got a prominent striker who can put the ball in the back of the net, they wouldn't be struggling as bad as they are. That's how I see it as Germany for me.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. In terms of like the issues they have in a lot of teams, I just look while you were talking was looking at the sides that are in this World Cup, and I do think it's a lack of prolific nines and or forwards. You start going through all the teams, there's a lot to name, but so far I'm saying this: the only teams with prolific goal scorers or strikers, whether they're scoring or not, the only ones where you would say yes they have, in my opinion, would be England within Harry Kane. At this World Cup, Ecuador have got it with Enner Valencia. Okay, so I'm going to give Ecuador it. Ecuador, England. I'm going to put Messi in that category of Argentina.
I mean, Lautaro is still pretty decent as a striker.
I like, and so far I ain't seen nothing from him in this World Cup.
Yeah,
but France have got two, Giroud and Mbappe.
Mm-hmm.
You've got there's none in Spain. Spain or Germany haven't. No one in Croatia, Belgium, Morocco. No one's got a prolific striker in there. Brazil do. Brazil have, of course, Richarlison as an example, and Ronaldo's at Portugal. Uruguay, you've got some that could do it in Uruguay's team. You've got Darwin, Suarez, and Cavani. You actually go through it. I'm naming 5-6 teams there where you would go. They've got killers in their team. You go for everybody else. Ghana, South Korea. I'm going to name these teams. Serbia, you could argue, have got one with Mitrovic. Maybe we'll see in the next game. We've only seen one match from them. Cameroon don't. Switzerland don't. Canada don't. Belgium don't. Morocco don't. Croatia don't. Germany don't. Costa Rica don't. Japan, Spain, none of them. Spain's is on the bench maybe with Morata, but so far we haven't seen it in the first team. Tunisia don't. Denmark don't. Australia don't. Mexico don't. Saudi Arabia don't. Poland do actually as well. So I missed Poland.
11.
You go through it. Of the 32 teams in the tournament, 25 don't have a killer in their team. That's why I think we're. Yeah, do you know what? In fairness with Serbia, they've got Vlahovic as well. So you can probably throw them in there. But still, we're only naming like 8 teams of 36 of 32. Very
there's
killers in there, goal scorers, prolific guys.
There's a correlation between all the people that you've named. So Switzerland, Mbolo, on his day he can be. Who are Spain? Morata. At times he can be, but they're sparse. They're not consistent enough as a top level striker. Like they've all got decent strikers, but they're not that level. They're not the levels of Lewandowski, Kane, even Vlahovic or Mitrovic. They're not clinical, and they're not consistently clinical.
Yeah, and
just middle of the grain.
People are saying Kamaric, who scored today twice for Croatia. The last time he scored in a tournament for Croatia was in the previous World Cup 4 years ago against one of the worst teams in it. It was named today. It could have been Scotland. That weren't Scotland. It was a really average team that he scored against. I can't remember who it was now. But my point is, he is not a prolific goal scorer by nature, is what I'm saying.
He's a prime example of middle of the crop. At times, he can look amazing. Like in the Bundesliga, at times for Hoffenheim, he can look amazing, like technical ability and all that. But he doesn't do it enough. That's why he hasn't gone to. That's why when he came to Leicester, he flopped, and he went back to Germany. He hasn't played. Yeah, he's not good enough for Borussia Dortmund.
The point I'm making to people isn't about someone who has or hasn't scored yet at this World Cup. The reason we're not seeing lots of great goals is because there aren't loads of great goal scorers at the tournament. If you actually go through every squad and add up the people you would say year in, year out, tournament in, tournament out, can be or have been prolific, I reckon if you added up every player here, I'm guessing here, you may not get above 12. You may not get above 12, definitely not getting above 15, who are people you go killers. We lost loads to injury and a lack of development. So that's that coupled with this, like, I don't want to lose, I'll save it to the last game approach. Those are the two reasons why I think we're lacking a bit of star quality. because it just isn't here. It just isn't here. Mane's not here. I know Salah's not here. Like their countries aren't here. If we had Salah at this tournament, if we had Mane at this tournament, if we had Haaland at this tournament,
yeah.
so again, that's suddenly 3 nations that would suddenly go up a level, be able to score goals. We're missing so many star players. Harry Kane hasn't even turned up yet, but you'd probably put him on that list as an example for me. And I think you kind of go through it, and I'm just kind of answering the viewers' questions. Why do you think? I mean, Benzema's not here, and Nkunku's not here. Is Dybala here?
Dybala is not fit enough.
Not fit enough.
He hasn't played yet.
Even Memphis is here. He's been prolific for in fairness, Memphis has been very prolific. He's almost the highest goal scorer in Dutch football history. But he's not fit. He ain't kicked the ball for 2.5 months. Like these little things I think are why there's a lack of quality,
I want to give a stretch, but Jota ain't here as well. Like at times he can be he's again top of the middle of the crop, but he's still not here. He's still better than everybody else, I'd say, in my opinion. In terms of prolificness.
Timo Werner. Someone's saying Gakpo. I mean, yeah, Gakpo for me, you could put him in that category, maybe. You could, I mean, he scored 2 goals here. He's scoring lots this season, so maybe that's an extra one I didn't think of. But you got to remember, I'm doing this off the top of my head based on a question you guys asked me. I haven't sat here and researched this. I'm just thinking. But for me, I just see a lack of killers. I see a lack of killers. But if you go back through years gone by, the Hollands, the Germanys, as examples, they would have multiple killers. They'd have a main number 9, and they'd have an inside forward or 2 that could all score and be dangerous. Having just one in any nation, even if you had just 32, one in each nation, that ain't enough. Because you shut that guy down or he has a bad game, who's scoring? Like there needs to be 3, 4, 5 of these guys in your squad that are dangerous to light the world. And you need that in 15 squads to light things up. And for me right now, there's just an overall lack of quality at this World Cup.
Just to add on Germany as well, like in my opinion, I think it's like a drought in terms of young strikers coming through. There's no one that's young, that's German, that can come through and be like, I can be at the level of Miroslav Klose, I could be at the level of Rudi Völler, I could be at the level of Gerd Müller. Like I don't see anybody. They're all meh. They're all okay. They can do a job, but they're not at that level. And that's what they're missing. That is literally the piece that they are missing, which is that striker up front, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get it. And look, a lot of people, like some people are disagreeing, they're naming more names. But as I say, I just think that's what it is. And even if you can name one for each squad, you need more. Like, this is like a working hypothesis and theory. I'm doing it live. I'm open to your suggestions. I just there's something kind of off about this World Cup, and I'm enjoying it. But I'm enjoying it once a team scores, it livens up. But until the first goal goes in, these games have been drab. So many of them have been like watching paint dry. They really have. So many of them.
Doesn't that come back to your point that I think teams are just being a little bit scared? They're not really going for it. They're not really. They'll be like, "Oh, we take the draw. We're here. We'll take the draw and we'll see what happens in the next game." Don't you think that's a bit of the case?
I think it is, and that's why I maybe I didn't notice it before, but I can't remember a time. We've got 2 more groups to play tomorrow, but I don't remember a time where the first. It's however many groups there is in this. There'll be how many groups are there? 8. How many groups are there?
I think it's 8.
No, it can't be. Yeah, 8 groups. Yeah, it is 8. There's 2 left to go. I don't remember a time where in the final game, in nearly every single group, barring one, every team can qualify and every team could go out, barring France. So only one team is actually through. Everybody else could still fall out the tournament. Everybody in it. That's never happened before. And that's because everyone's been pragmatic. It's actually crazy. I don't remember a World Cup in my lifetime where that's happened. And look, I haven't got a statistician that works at the Terrace to go and research that. And I certainly ain't got the time to sit there and go through 36 years of World Cup history. But it just feels like that. I've never known a time where you haven't got more than one team fully qualified after 2 games. Germany have is that Mukoko?
Mukoko. I think that's in response to what I said. Yeah, Mukoko is a talent. No doubt, he is very, very talented, but he's too young. I think he's around about 17. I'm talking about a guy that's in his about 24, 23, 24 that is ready to come along and step up for the national team. They don't have anybody. Maybe Havertz was meant to be that guy, but I just don't see him being that guy. And I
Yeah,
think
I hear that.
I don't,
I
and I
don't know.
think
I don't know who this guy is really. So again, I don't watch the Bundesliga, so
yeah,
I'm not gonna give an opinion because that would be stupid.
yeah, but
Um,
he's talented, but it's too young, too young. You can't put the pressure of him being the top guy up front on a
yeah,
nation as big as Germany's,
I
in my
get that.
opinion.
And I mean, this comment here says, "Please don't forget the World Cup is in the middle of the season." Listen, I agree. I get that it's in the middle of the season, and that's also a problem. I think some of these players, I think they're reserving energy too because they know that when this ends, they go straight back. You got to remember, the World Cup ends on the 18th. I swear 3 days, 4 days later, Chelsea play Liverpool in the Carling Cup,
Yeah,
in the
City
Carabao
Liverpool,
Cup.
City Liverpool Carabao Cup. Yeah,
Yeah, on like the 23rd or something. So that's how quick it is. And I think in the back of these players' minds, they spent all of October going, I can't get injured. I've got to reserve energy. I got the World Cup. They've got to the World Cup, and it's like, oh my God, in less than 3 weeks, I'm playing again. That's going to be hard. I've got to reserve myself. It's just, look, I've got no personal issue with the World Cup being in Qatar. Okay. I have an issue with the World Cup being in the middle of the season. That for me is the problem as well. And I think it's a combination of a few things that has led to the way things have happened. Is it the 20th? It can't be the 20th. It could be the 20th. Let me
I think it
check.
was like 21st or something
Let
like
me
that.
check here. Let me check here, people. League Cup. Let me check when this is actually on. No, it's the 22nd, 2 days later. In fact, though, I mean, I don't know how many players have got the World Cup, but on Tuesday the 20th, Leicester play in it. So like Madison's there as an example. Wolves play in the Carabao Cup. They must have some players in that Portuguese squad, like Ruben Neves and stuff. So literally, look, and they may not get that far. But imagine it's an England-Portugal final. I don't even know if that can happen. But I'm just like I haven't even read it. I haven't actually done the tree. I actually quite not know like I like not knowing who we might get. It's actually more fun
Mm.
to me. But like that's crazy. What other Premier League teams? Brighton. Let's see how for Ecuador go. They've got players there as an example. Man United play on the Wednesday. United have got a lot of players at the World Cup. Liverpool and City have got loads. They play free.
City have, Liverpool don't have as much,
Well, you've
but
got some. You've got some
yeah,
there. Depends how far everybody goes. It's actually crazy. So yeah, am I surprised? Am I surprised that there's like a lack of intensity in some of these games? Absolutely not, in my opinion. Absolutely not. I will be. I've already done a video about KDB and Belgium. That's coming out later this evening. I didn't have a chance to release it earlier, so we'll talk about it on there. Too many excuses. See, my friend, what you're doing here is you're conflating the excuses with reasons. I'm not saying those reasons are good enough. I'm just saying what's the other alternative? Like, let me ask you this question, Dapo. Why do you think there's been so many draws? Why do you think there's been a lack of goals? Why do you think there's been a lack of overall quality? I've said there ain't an abundance of good enough players. They're playing mid-season. And at the same time, I think they're being too pragmatic because the systems, the systems are taking away a bit of the flair and they're kind of waiting for this final game. They're my reasons I'm giving. What do you think the reasons are? I'd love to know your reasons, Dapper. I'm going to wait. I'm literally going to wait for you because I'm not giving excuses. I'm not saying they would have performed, but this is the reason they're not. So it's okay. I'm not suggesting it's okay. That would be an excuse. Come on now, my friend. Come on now, my friend. I'm waiting for you, though. I'm waiting for you, though. This super chat says thoughts on KDB this tourney. Bruno would get killed. Yeah, he would. Look, Bruno Fernandes, we'll see what he does tomorrow, but 2 assists, instrumental in that midfield. KDB has been shocking, but KDB has brought this on himself by talking about there's no way we're winning it anyway. So why bother try? For me, if I heard an England player say that, I would demand they would drag straight out the squad, sent home on a plane with their towel between their legs because it's terrible. I don't think it's a mid-season issue. In the summer, people say players are tired. England fans say that players are tired. No, the nations that do well at those tournaments don't. I do think there's a fundamental difference. I do think there's a fundamental difference. Personally, I don't think the England players are tired in the summer. I think the England players just either haven't been good enough, the squad hasn't been good enough, or the manager hasn't been good enough.
I
But
think it's also just preparation is a lot more difficult as well. Like preparation for the players to get in the swing of things in terms of international football is a lot different now than it is in the summer because you've got about 6 weeks to prepare for the World Cup with your whole squad. This year you have about 5 days.
It's a great point as well. It's a great, but yeah, you normally the season ends. There's a week or so break where they holiday and chill, and then they get together. They train for 2 weeks. They have friendlies. They fly off. So yeah, I think all of this could be a factor. And listen, let's just hope that all of this prelude makes this final round of games that starts Tuesday. I mean, I'm also looking forward to the fact that there's no 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock games anymore. It's all going to be 3 and 7 for the rest of the tournament until the final, which I think it's 6. I think it's 3 in the afternoon, our time, 6 p.m. their time. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Teams are for that, man.
Yeah, teams are pragmatic, but the gap between the teams is much closer. No one expected Ecuador and Saudi to be so good. Also, teams like Belgium have declined. I think that's a great point as well, my friend. I think, as you've said, there's multiple factors that play into this. I don't think it's one particular thing by itself. That's a great point that's been raised there. But listen, viewers, I appreciate you all tuning in as ever. Back tomorrow with more content for you. I woke up this morning and I did not know what day of the week it was. Glad it was a Sunday. So I got to spend quite a lot of day with the kids. Bit of gym, which is nice. Yeah, you know what's mad? Yesterday I went gym and I started getting my heart started racing because I getting my blood thing up. And the PTSD from thinking I had a heart attack came back and I was all panicky. Today, no, I've got to go back and do it again. Started doing it again, but it went away. So I'm 2 days into heavy gym sessions, and I'm so glad that I got through it. So yeah, went back to the gym today, time with the kids, but tomorrow back on it full time. Make sure you're tuning in. Tuesday, myself and Lee Gunner will probably be live early. I've got to speak to Lee because obviously the games start at 3. So we'll probably go live around midday, something along those lines, kind of build up to the games. The one good thing is now it's essentially knockout football. And that's the good bit. It's essentially knockout football now.
This is playing for a draw nonsense.
Yeah. Taking all factors into account, who would you say is the biggest footballing nation to have not won the World Cup? The Netherlands, Portugal, or Belgium? Netherlands, in my opinion.
Netherlands, because they got to 2 finals, I swear.
Yeah, 2 finals they lost. At least 2 that my memory serves me correctly on saying. But also, the Netherlands invented a brand of football that will be remembered forever in total football. They invented a brand of football that multiple other nations adopted. I'm not sure if Portugal and Belgium have done that, although Portugal have had, lots of great players over the years, so have Belgium. But for me, it would 110% be the Netherlands. 3, they've lost 3 finals. Yeah.
3.
Do you know what? I forgot 2010. I was thinking of the 70s, 3 finals they've lost. Yeah. So it absolutely has to be the Netherlands, are the biggest footballing nation to have not won the World Cup. They just have to be. I
think plethora of talent as well. It's just so sparse. Not sparse. It's very rounded. They have a lot of great defenders, centre midfielders, and strikers. I think Portugal has very incredible strikers and midfielders, but defenders they aren't as much compared to the Netherlands. So that's how I differentiate it.
Yeah. I think 1 second here. Someone's asking me how many finals have Portugal got to. I don't think they've ever got to one, have they?
I think must have won back in the 60s. I'm
right.
guessing the
These are the final. Let me have a little look here if I can see Portugal in here. So in my lifetime, they definitely haven't. No, Portugal have never been to a final. So
wow.
I'll go through them. So 1930, Uruguay, Argentina, Italy, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Hungary, Uruguay, Brazil, West Germany, Hungary, Brazil, Sweden, Brazil, Czechoslovakia, England, West Germany, Brazil, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, Argentina, Netherlands, Italy, West Germany, Argentina, West Germany, Argentina, Brazil, Italy, France, Brazil. Yeah, they haven't been to one. They haven't been to one.
Terry,
100%.
Their best place was in 66.
Sorry, when you actually look at that, the majority of the finalists on this list are literally Argentina, Brazil, Italy,
and Germany.
And France since 98 have been to 3, which so you can throw them into that mix. And Spain have been in. I mean, Spain have only been in 1. It's actually crazy when you actually break it. Spain and England have only been in 1. Uruguay have been in 2, but the majority of the rest of it is bloody 3 or 4 nations. That's it. It's a very small group.
It's I'm looking at their record in World Cups. It's 3rd place group stage, 4th place round of 16 group stage, round of 16 group stage. That's Portugal's record. It's not very good.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even know that, bro. It's actually crazy. Yeah, I mean, there was a better list I could have looked at. Yeah, I mean, Brazil have been Brazil have been in 7 finals. Sorry, Germany have been in the most 8 finals. Brazil have been in 7 finals. Italy 6, Argentina 5, and then France, Netherlands 3, Uruguay, Czechoslovakia, Hungary 2, and then Spain, England, Sweden, Croatia 1 each.
At least
So
we got 100% record.
yeah. We've got England and Spain have the best win percentage in finals.
Hey.
No, actually, so do Uruguay. Uruguay better because they've been in it twice,
Yeah.
won it twice. But yeah, so that's crazy. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. We're back tomorrow with more content. Make sure like buttons are being hit. Make sure you're subscribing, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.